Master Gardener Beth here. Welcome to week 4 of our Master Gardener series. So, we've been learning about seeds and how they start off as little tiny things, and you plant them and you give them water and sunshine, and they sprout and they grow, and over time they get huge and they can turn into beautiful flowers or plants that can give us medicine, or even plants that can give us food. And plants are such a blessing to us. They provide for us. They provide beauty. They provide food. They provide medicine for us. And they are a blessing to us. We've also been learning about how God used one family, one man, as the seed to start a family that would bless the entire world. So I'm going to tell you the next story. Well, there's other stories in between. There's lots of amazing stories, but I'm kind of just hitting some big ones. So, last week we learned how Isaac and Rebecca got married. So, years pass, and Rebecca didn't have any kids. You can't have descendants without kids. So, they prayed and they asked God, please, please bless us with kids. And Rebecca got pregnant with twins, 2 babies at once. But she noticed, while the babies were in her tummy, that they fought inside. And she's like, what's going on? This is weird. They're fighting. They're fighting in my belly. What's up with that? And God said, that's because there's 2 different nations in there. Those 2 kids are going to form 2 different nations. And one will be stronger than the other. And the older will serve the younger. Now, normally, back then, the older son was the one who would get all the things from the father, and they would get the blessing from the father, and they would inherit more stuff, and they kind of became the head of the family. When the father died, they would then step into that role and become the head of the family, the oldest son. So the younger would be served by the older. That just seemed kind of backwards according to their culture. But they trusted God, and she had the babies. And when they were born, the first baby, he came out and he was hairy and had red hair. And his name was Esau. They named him Esau. But when the second baby came out, when Esau came out, there was a hand grabbing his leg. And out came the second baby, and his name was Jacob. And he was holding on to his brother's leg when he came out. It's kind of weird, but you know. His name was Jacob. And so those were the 2 brothers, and they were very different. Esau was somebody who liked to hunt and farm and be outdoors, and Jacob preferred being more inside and doing those type of things inside. So as they grow up, Esau one day, he's out in the fields working or out hunting or doing something. He's out doing something. And Jacob's at home making stew. And Esau comes home and he's like, man, I'm hungry. Hey, bro, give me some stew. And Jacob says, okay, give me your birthright. What? Give me your birthright? Now, that was when a father died, they would give the older son more and give the younger son less. So if there were 2 kids, they would divide the father's property into 3 parts. And the older son would get 2 parts, and the younger son would get 1. If there were 3 kids, they divided into 4 parts. The older son would get 2 parts, and the other kids would get 1 part. So they divided up like that. So he said, fine, give me your birthright. Give me the things that you're supposed to get. And Esau, not caring, said, okay, fine. He didn't care about his birthright. He gave it to his brother for a bowl of stew. Is that a wise choice? Doesn't really seem like it. So he sold his birthright to his brother, to his younger brother. Remember that promise? The older shall serve the younger? Interesting. So some time goes by and there's a famine. And a famine is when there's not enough food. So Isaac packs up his family and they went to a place called Gerar. And while they were there, God came to Isaac and he renewed the covenant with him. Now remember, that covenant is the promise that God made to Abraham, promising him descendants, a big family, promising him land, and promising him blessing. And God came to Isaac and he renewed that promise and he said, I will bless you and I'll bless the world through you. I'll give you this land and I'll give you a big family. And he renewed that promise. The kids, as many as the stars in the sky. Now, this looks like a lot like the picture we saw before with Abraham, but this is Isaac now getting that promise, getting that blessing. And then that blessing was passed down to Jacob because Esau gave up his birthright. So it was passed down to Jacob. And that is who God chose to use to pass down his family line. And then Jacob's kids and his kids, and we'll learn all about that. That's coming up. So, where's our connection to Christ, to Jesus in this story? Well, that blessing that God gave Abraham and then Isaac about blessing the world through their kids, it's Jesus. This is Jesus' story about how God is preparing this family in the right place and eventually in the right time to bless the whole world. And when we get to Jesus, we'll talk about the importance of place and time, because those were important parts about why Jesus came when he did. But this is God preparing it. 2,000 years before, he's preparing it. And he's preparing that blessing of Jesus. So, we have learned that we can trust God because he is faithful. And everything he does is for his glory and our good. Oh, God is good. God is amazing. And he blesses us so much. And this is his family story, our family story, because we're adopted into Abraham's family. It's awesome. Just like these little tiny seeds started out and they grow something wonderful and amazing that blesses us. God is blessing us through Abraham's family. It's awesome. This apple looks beautiful. I'm going to eat it, and I will see you guys next week.